series here in the semifinals of the WCS Spring, and starting in the top left-hand side of the map, playing as the Red Zerg. From Italy, it is Reynor.
Very young player, very good player. But here we have him in the bottom right, sporting as the Blue Zerg, playing for Team Ents. It is Serral.
Also young and also good.
I tell you what, these are some of the loudest cheers in this house so far. And both these players very loved. Reynor for his charisma, also for his shameless, wild play. Serral, he's just been so solid and so consistent for so long. And 2018, yeah, getting to the top is ridiculously hard, but staying on the top, that's even harder. Players learn from you, they study you, you become the example of how to play, and people will learn from that a lot. And Reynor, there's definitely things that mimic Serral's kind of style, but Reynor's good enough too that he's learned a bit from Serral too over the past few years.
Yeah,
months.
I mean, it's just like year after year, these pro gamers, they just reach new levels, new heights. Like the pro gamers of today would crush the pro gamers of, like, you know, years ago, even like from last year. They just evolve so much all the time, and these two are some of the best guys at doing that as well, which is why they're on the top. Complete mirror build orders here so far. This is the one part of the game where I don't look at the supply, but I focus more on the production tab then, especially in ZVZ.
The one time we don't look at the supply. But yeah, both mirroring each other exactly, down to a T with the drone production, with the gas. Reynor maybe a tiny bit behind on that, but this is one of the maps where you can actually mix it up as a Zerg. You can kind of play these gasless openings, given that charging into the natural is a bit harder, given that it's up a ramp, so you don't necessarily see what's on top.
Yeah.
You tend to find it's a little bit less of Ling Bane because of that ramp right there, and more heading straight for roaches. Also this map, very short rush distances from door to door, so often you can find very weird things happening with these roach timings.
And it's kind of become the norm on basically the entire map pool to have a very wide open third base with usually, you know, if it's not two attack paths, then it's going to be a very wide one. So that kind of encourages maybe links a little bit more with the mobility and all that, but obviously if the opponent can do a good job of going straight into roaches and gets a lot of them, he's going to do incredible down the line. Serral, though, is just so insanely good at the Ling Bane phase. Like, we've seen that previously in this tournament as well.
Todd, we see something very unusual from Reynor already. So, getting a second gas, the Lair is on the way, the Evo at the front as well. Could be a fake Evo. Maybe he is taking a lesson from Lambo's book here. Lambo did this pretty much exact thing against Serral earlier in the tournament, and Serral's reaction was to try and Nidus him and break him, but it didn't work out very well at all. Now, Serral has played against this before, but what Reynor's actually showing is a very generic roach opening, where you get one Evo plus one, and you don't know what's going to happen behind it. So maybe he's trying to sell something that he isn't doing, but right now, Serral, he's just playing safe and droning up.
Yeah, I mean, Serral's very well aware that there's no third hatchery just yet from Reynor, so he knows that something could be up, obviously, and if he's already faced this, it's going to be on his mind for sure as well. These players, they study every other game that their opponent has played against the same race previously in the tournament, or in all the recent tournaments, in fact.
So there's a few things that Serral's trying to get here. Information to see if these buildings are upgrading, seeing if they're shaking a little bit, because, you know, he did lose to Aspire earlier in the tournament.
Yeah.
He is droning up a lot. He did cancel Ling speed, so he hasn't wasted any resources on too many Lings, but the Lings that he did have, he did continuously scout. I guess the creep spread is kind of a way to show that, hey, I'm going to be making roaches, but still, this could be fake information from Reynor. So Serral, he has to continue to scout and continue to try and get information here.
Yeah, which is tough, obviously. Like, the main thing here is going to be links that he sends to the front of the wall. Serral already saturating that third base here that he made on location, now starting Lair.
Todd, could this be a situation where Reynor lines up his overlords and starts spreading creep along the map? Because, yes, he's making a creep highway for his opponent here. This is a very famous build that has worked very good in this. So the creep highway of the overlords, that allows reinforcements to dart across the map, especially with that early overlord or creep spread.
Serral realizes what's happening. He's trying to make roaches. He gets a bunch of overlords as to not get supply blocks. Starts a spine crawler as well. He's going to have to get a ton of units here. This is going to be really a very dangerous attack here with those queens already being so far across the map. They sprinted on this creep and already rejoining the creep of Serral here. Serral evacuates the third base. He needs to regroup around the natural with a spine crawler and all of the queens. Did he overdrone here? 44 to 33.
He might have, Todd. He is in a pretty bad situation. He's done the right call though. He evacuated the third. He realized, I can't hold this. If I try, I'm going to lose. So that was a beautiful call by him. Now, these Overlords are kind of exposed to these Queens, and Reynor, he's actually kind of droning up a little bit behind this, it looks like. I think he realizes, okay, I've got the damage done that I wanted.
Yeah.
I forced it as much as I could, but my opponent's made the right call. Now, he is still droning up. He's getting +2. This is it's kind of going to turn into a mirror game, except Serral's economy has been way better for a lot longer. This was really sharp decision-making by both these players.
And Serral anticipating maybe a siege from the low ground here on that Roach Warren, or even his opponent maybe trying to snipe it. He puts the Spine Crawler just right under it to kind of block that away. It's really awkward now. Like, can Reynor maybe do a long lockdown where he stands down there? I guess reinforcements will come in pretty quick for Serral because it's close to his base.
It's difficult, right? So he's darting up the SRAM to kind of see what his opponent's going for. If he could potentially snipe that Roach Warren, would be nasty. These two Roaches, though, they have a pretty heavy job in their hands. Serral marching down the ramp at this point in time, too.
He thinks he has enough, and he might just... Reynor is getting chased away here right now. Heading back home here to try and help against these Roaches.
And this creep highway might work against Reynor at this point in time, because not only do you move faster on creep, but your opponent moves faster on creep too. But Serral, he's selling this so well. He's actually droning massively behind this, so again, retaining his lead.
Serral's ahead in Walkers, and he's ahead, or he was ahead in Roaches up until recently here. Reynor's starting to catch up a little bit.
I guess the big problem,
units.
Yeah, I guess the big problem here for Serral is his third is only halfway done here, so he doesn't have super efficient mining on it. Whereas Reynor, he can start mining. This is still a very close game. Now, Serral is on 4 gases, so he will be able to get a lot more Ravagers than his opponent. He's also committing to Overlord speed here. Now, he did make a lot of Overlords, which does suggest that he might just hold down the Roach key as soon as that third comes up.
Yeah, already being on 53 Walkers there. It's going to be ideal for this. Both players going to be on +2 attack here in a second. No Carapace started just yet.
Does see the army of Reynor above his third, and he definitely wants to be able to get that third up. Now, what is he making? 6 Roaches, 3 Ravagers at a time. Reynor also is making drones behind this, though. So this is a very fine balance of trying to still eke out every economic edge that you can, but having enough that you don't die, because both these players have the ability to just pounce whenever.
I thought he might just try to corrosive by that Spine here, but Serral's kind of standing there trying to prevent that. And they're going to do the dance here for now. The corrosive bile dance, the Muslim.
The dance is done. Serral holding down the Roach key. The Evo chamber is blocked, but it isn't actually upgrading anything at this point in time. Serral kind of coming in from 2 angles here. The juicy Ravagers getting biled as well by these Ravagers.
Yeah, but the front of his army was taking a lot of damage while he was setting up from behind. Reynor forced to pull back here, trying to regroup with the additional forces that he's making right now. He had so many Roaches, but so did Serral. And Serral taking the better engagement. He's going to chase him away from the middle and now takes a good supply lead as well.
Look how well both these players are balancing the drone production. Both, despite being in kind of like a weird position, they're like, okay, I have to get out as many drones as possible because my opponent will have enough Roaches, right? It's kind of like trying to predict exactly what your opponent's doing while making big, significant calls that could potentially end you the game, but they both have a lot of respect for one another.
They're so well matched up against one another. Like, supplies are so even, same upgrades. The Carapace started just a little bit later here for Reynor. Serral not missing a beat. And these numbers in terms of Roaches are always so close, even though Serral is starting to pull a little bit further ahead now, thanks to that last fight and his great production, 33-23 right now.
The thing is, this game, they both went about this in very different ways, but they have somehow equalized this as close as it can be at this point in time, considering how weird and different it was. This is a really nice scout for Serral. Gets to see that nothing cheeky's going on, you know, no Hydra Den potential or any Spire switch here. So now he's just holding down the Roach key, and yet again, we do see something cool out by Reynor, though, in that production tab.
Well, or both right now, because Serral started his own as well. Tunneling Klaus and Burrow as well. They're ready to enter the next phase of the Roach Wars with some good old burrowed Roaches kind of sneaking in every single base, trying to snipe drones, forcing Overseers out of the opponent, maybe some static defense as well, and using the ultimate mobility.
It's amazing how in sync these guys are mentally with the things that they think will get them an edge in this game. Both playing very, very similar. Now, Serral has maxed out a little bit faster and does have a larger army to thwart that squad. He can't really pass against the middle, though. Reynor's holding this choke well, and I feel that Reynor does realize that he's a tiny bit behind against his opponent. Serral's maxed out and can now start getting a real sick bang together.
Yeah, to just remax very quickly behind his +1 carapace completes earlier here for Serral. We'll see if he starts the +2. Yes, he does. Wow, he's really not missing a beat.
That was quick. That was quick. So he's on the ball. He's playing very, very well. Gets up again up to 66 drones. Very similar work accounts at this point in time. And the Roach Burrow will be finishing very soon for both these guys. So now it's about how are they both going to handle each other.
And Serral's already thinking about the next step as his Spine Crawler starting here. He's getting the Infestation Pit, yeah. For that +3, usually that's kind of the first thing that you're going to want to chase.
Oh, he kind of just straight up revealed that he burrowed under that army, though. Like, that was, although I guess you do see with the spines for sure.
Yeah.
Pushing
he probably
through
thought
the middle.
that Reynor was looking at the center, because that's where they were fighting. Okay, both players are going to start on attacking in every single location there. It's going to be Roach v Roach in every single expansions that they've got. Reynor with a massive chunk of his army here on the 4th base of Serral is going to take out that super fast, but so is Serral on the other side.
The thing is, both of them have a huge army on either side of the map. Now, Serral does keep his 3rd alive. Reynor loses his 3rd. He still has his 4th, though. But the drones are exposed, and the Roach Warren is very exposed here. Serral moving into the juicy innards of Reynor's base, also denying the Roaches with the Bios. Very smart.
And Reynor knew that was going to happen here on his Roach Warren, so he already restarted it. But for all this time that he's going to be in production, he's going to be unable to remake Roaches. He might have to go into Lynx, which is not ideal against this army. Serral looking to try and escape here against the massive army of Reynor that pulled back.
Did you see that clutch decision-making by Serral? He saw there was actually no Overseer there, and we have a bit of a sandwich going on. Reynor's army is caught out. He is focusing on one side, but he can't reinforce right now. He cannot make Roaches. Serral is pushing in, but can Reynor hold at this point in time? His bank is increasing, but there are units in the main base as well. Serral all over Reynor at this point in time.
Yeah, finally the Roach Warren of Reynor finishes. He immediately spends the 9 lava that he had to remake some of these Roaches, but he's trailing a little bit behind in supply. He's still staying alive, though. Both players lost their one of their bases.
That was a super nice burrow on those drones, by the way, to keep them alive. So Reynor, even though Serral's making incredible moves, Reynor is responding equally brilliantly.
Reynor never started +2 carapace, whereas Serral did. So now that completed is going to be one single upgrade ahead. Reynor actually has more army right now.
He has more army, but
he traded better in terms of army.
Yeah, I think Serral tried to pounce on the opportunity, right, of what he got into, but it was definitely a lot of losses there. The thing is, his economy is still better, and Serral, he doesn't hold up for a second here. Burrowed Roaches in one of the last mining bases of Reynor, and Reynor's drone count still going down.
This is going to trigger a massive attack here by Reynor, who knows that a lot of these Roaches are missing from Serral and are counter-attacking on the other side of the map. Roaches get on top of Roaches. Corrosive Bias being dodged from both sides pretty nicely so far. Does Serral have enough here?
These Biles are barely hitting anything. Both of them microing so good. But Serral's supply, is it too much? So much of Reynor is perishing at this point in time. The Biles are good. The economy is even better. Serral also on the other side of the map. 1-0. What a nice game to start things off in this ZVZ. These guys always deliver shockingly good ZVZ games.
It was very close up until the point that burrowed Roaches entered the field. And that's where Serral really said, don't ever go Roaches versus Roaches against me. He's going to take something else.
That's the thing, right? You enter Serral's game where Serral is the best at this. Like every Zerg in the world learned how to play Roaches because of this guy, and you're trying to go up against him playing his own game. To be fair to Reynor, he did a darn good job because I felt he was behind. Like he went for a pretty ballsy build, right? Like he rushed across the map, got the 3rd, but maybe he's not played against people doing that response where he just evacuated the 3rd, played very safely, and it kind of reset the game a little bit. Now, definitely the Roaches, like the multitasking of both these players, Serral got in there, and he's the one that really got to make the Roach burrow work in his favor. Reynor didn't really get a chance to do it.
And I feel that that's because also he took action first. He was already across the map with some small intrusion of Roaches, already ready to burrow and go for the attack. So it didn't really give Reynor any time to set up his own attacks. So that's when Reynor started counterattacking with just a massive chunk of his army, but then the burrowed Roaches started doing some economic damage, and Reynor fell behind on the economy side of things. And from there, well, even though he had a lot of army going across the map and actually finishing the game against somebody as good as Serral, that will take these fights very well, that will reinforce enough, it's just going to be so tough.
they both did a really good job of like reestablishing themselves into a kind of normal game, right? Like from those openings being so erratic and so crazy, and then they totally evened out. It shows that they are very evenly matched.
All right, it's time to get started with our map number 2 here. We're going to be playing on King's Cove, starting in the top left-hand side of the map, playing as the Red Zerg. It is Italy's Reynor.
And spawning over in the southeast side as our Blue Zerg. Hailing from Finland, playing for Team Ents, it is Serral.
Easy for Ents.
Easy for Ents, baby.
That slogan was made for Serral.
I mean, when he started winning everything, I really felt he put... By the way, the same time that Ents started winning in Starcraft 2, I feel that their other teams as well started like really demolishing and showing up in things, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I think of like Ents, I think of Serral, man. Like he is the face of that thing.
For sure.
Now King's Cove, this is a larger map for sure. Like this isn't your standard, oh, I can rush across the map with some crazy build or at least roaches. You see the natural is far more open. You have that kind of flat space right there, so more Ling Bane can take place. Also the fact that it is larger in distance, these more mobile armies such as Ling Bane, you can have a lot of skirmishes early on.
Yeah, we're going to see a very similar build orders here once again from both players. And Reynor, you have to wonder, does he make adjustments in terms of overall style here going into that map number 2? Maybe do we see, upgraded links, a spire, or is he not discouraged by the way the Roach versus Roach went? Because sometimes, it's like one or the other, right? Like sometimes you just look at last game if you're Reynor here and you say, well, I was doing okay up until the point we reached burrowed roaches. My mistakes were clear. They were here, 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 and there. I didn't defend well enough against the first few burrowed roaches. If I do that better, I'm still fine. I can still win in roach versus roach. Or he says, this guy is just too good at this style. I need to play differently. I need to throw him off his game.
I think that's kind of what he tried to do in that first game, though, with that roach rush across the map.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't think Reynor played bad in that game at all. In fact, I think he played really darn well. It's just there were little edges that maybe he tried to eke out a little bit, and Serral just did it very slightly better, but that's also because of the opening, right? It felt like it was a much easier game for Serral to read, given that he knew he wasn't going to die. And Reynor was kind of playing the game, oh, I've got my third up faster now. Now do I drone? Do I get a roach lead? What do I do kind of thing? And even though he made a lot of the right calls, I felt the start made him a little bit too behind, actually.
Yeah, both players going for that pretty quick third base.
Both getting scouts off too. I mean, Reynor does have more Lings on the field, but this isn't unusual. Are these Queens going to get this Overlord on Serral's side of the map? By the way, he is hunting it down. I mean, that would be quite a decent pick-off if he could get... No, giving it up.
Yeah, but he's looking for the cancel here is Reynor.
Does Serral have more Lings? He's
only now making them. I don't think they're going to be there on time. That might just be a cancel there.
Oh, that is really big. So Reynor already starting off this game in a much better fashion for him. His call of going for these 6 Lings across the map definitely paid off. Oh, but it looks like Serral is looking to answer back. That is quite a few Lings in production. A Baneling nest on the way too.
Yeah, Reynor's making Lings as well, but no Baneling nest just yet. He's still mining on the gas here in the main base with 3 drones.
Oh.
Trojan on the Roach Warren.
Yeah, so...
It's because I think he sniped the 3rd hatchery, so he knows that he's going to have extra injects and a lot of extra lava to work with. So in this case, if he goes straight into roaches and doesn't die before from Ling Bane, manages to get a decent amount of roaches and Lings, he might just be able to attack and do well, potentially.
Yeah,
or it could be for safety as well.
So the thing about the Roach Warren is he will be good in a few minutes' time, like better than if he skipped a Baneling nest. But the thing is, if Serral does start dealing damage, does get Banelings on his side of the map, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. And Serral, yeah, he's not giving them the time of day here. Nice micro by Reynor, though, not allowing these Lings to blow up, but equally nice micro by Serral, not wasting anything there.
Yeah, it's so well done by Serral here, kind of covering these Banelings the whole way. So many times those Lings of Reynor came close.
Oh, nice sniping by Reynor, focusing down that Baneling with just a few minor units. This other Baneling does fall as well, but this is quite a few Lings from Serral. But there are 9 roaches in production. All he has to do is hold on for a little bit of time and not take too much damage from this.
Yeah, that Queen almost got surrounded, gets to safety here inside of those minerals. Serral not able to achieve much here. He's going to have to retreat, goes towards the 3rd base. Spots the 2 roaches now.
That was super solid positioning by Reynor, though, with those Queens. And now he's going for the Baneling nest. This could be like a big counterattack with like Roach, Ling, Bane or something like that.
It's kind of weird, though, to go Bane against Bane. for counter-attack,
You do it
right?
for the lings. You do it for the lings.
Yeah, but you have to go on the... There's ramps.
Yeah,
have to go up
you absolutely
towards.
do. Maybe he's just doing it for like ultimate safety, you know, like if your opponent has committed to quite a lot of lings, they can run up ramps, and it's better to hold that off with just a sneaky baneling at the top of the ramp kind of thing. Although both these players are transitioning. We do have Serral opting for roaches. He's getting a faster +1 than his opponent as well. Reynor's droning up a little bit harder, but yeah, making lings actually at this point in time. Like, definitely a weird way of going about things. I'm very curious about what his follow-up's going to be.
Damn, these lings hiding in a corner there, almost got spotted and chased down. Serral's still looking to scout here with those two lings. He spots some of those banelings morphing here, so now he knows that it's going to be Roach and Bane here for now.
Oh, and I mean, Reynor is marching out across the map, and those lings and banes, he is actually droning behind this, so it isn't a super all-in. And look at Serral, he's also making a lot of drones. What does he actually have to hold? Is this going to be enough? It should be enough, but it depends on how he goes about it, because Reynor definitely has more roaches here. Big baneling connections. Oh, one does blow up a lot of those lings. That was really bad for Serral. Those banelings did absolutely what Reynor wanted them to do. Serral is trying to get out as many units as he can at this point in time.
Yeah, Serral is so good at just pulling back a little bit, resetting the position, bringing the queens to reinforce. It's crazy, like, Reynor droned up behind this, but he was still like, I might have more than you, so I'm just going to attack. And he gets those trades. They trade like fairly evenly for the most part. Like, all of the links and banes were gone from... And now they're kind of left over with roaches.
That was beautiful focus fire by both of them, by the way. Given that these armies are so small, focusing down these units one by one and just getting as much damage done as possible. Make no mistake about it, though. Reynor is ahead from this situation. He's getting his lair up, so he is behind in tech.
He's ahead in supply, but clear reconstitution and +2 started earlier for Serral.
Defending is much easier, though. If you can connect these bases with the creep, which he hasn't focused on yet, but still trying to deal damage on such a large map. Serral's catching up in the drone count. He realizes trying to deal counter damage on this map with this kind of distance, it's not going to work against this guy. He's too good for me to like force a mistake out of him. So I'm just going to drone up and get ahead in that regard.
I guess on this map, it's maybe going to be harder as well to use Tunneling Claw, Roaches, right? Because of like, you only have mainly 2 choke points to enter all the 3 bases from the opponent.
That is a very exposed location to be making it, because I mean, if a Ling ran up this ramp, it could potentially see it quite easily.
But that's where, I guess, maybe he doesn't mind as much.
The thing is, Serral has reached a pretty optimal drone count at this point in time. If he does just continue to make roaches, but he's teching up here.
Look at this, there is already an Overseer taking position on the other side of the map, in the south side. Perhaps getting ready towards the main base to drop down that one Nidus. And Queens are getting in position from Serral to maybe receive that in the main base.
This is a very scary position, but Serral sniffs it out. He cancels that Hydralisk Den. He's also making Spine Crawlers at his third. He even sends Roaches to the main right in time for that Nidus 2. That is clutch by Serral.
And there is no Queens in that Nidus, so it's not like units are going to come out and then he can save that.
But he is a little supply blocked here, Todd. He can't make that many Roaches right now. He does have the bank for it, but Reynor has a lot of units here knocking at his front door, and the Spines are not yet ready.
And he's keeping him away here from that Nidus for now. Can it finish on time?
He has to stop that Nidus, and he does at the last moment, but he does have to forego the Spine Crawlers. The thing is, if he stays alive, he will have an upgrade lead in this game. His economy is better for now. Does start holding off Reynor, but he sees the next Nidus. Now, what does Serral do in this situation? Because he has caught up in supply.
Yeah, another attempt here by Reynor around the natural base with the Nidus. He's going to unload a lot of units. Serral has been making a ton of units himself here. Both players trying to get as many roaches as they can.
Instant cancel on that 4th base. And rightly so, there was an army that just turned up at his front door. Reynor trying to get Lings in. He does get Lings in. Will they be able to deal damage? Damaging him at the 3rd base for sure. This is a lot of roaches. He is fighting with an upgrade deficit though. It doesn't look like too much damage is being done by Reynor, and Serral is taking a supply lead. Cleaned up the Lings in the main. The roaches are at the natural though. These are some juicy drones, but Serral, he's there to answer the call.
Serral was so confident he was going to hold this that he started a Spire after killing the 1st or 2nd Nidus. Now that Spire is halfway through done. And as soon as that finishes, he's going to have quite a bit of gas to work with to make Mutas.
And Serral, again, a Nidus goes up in the main base. Reynor is relentless, but he is very far behind in supply. It feels like Serral's getting a bit of hold of this game now, way ahead in supply. Reynor does see the Spire with this little skirmish.
And he's going to evacuate here, chased away from that location. Yet another Nidus is going to be sniped in the middle of the map. Serral with a fantastic hold. He traded so well on every front, and now he has the Spire all but done.
Oh, and he has quite a decent gas bank saved up here too. I mean, that's going to be at least 6-7 mutas that could be out on the field.
He might just counter-attack here with the amount of units that he's killed.
After seeing that there's no fourth going up, I mean, he definitely could, but
he's about to be 2 upgrades ahead, by the way, as soon as Carapace finishes.
He's definitely in a good spot here. He also has a decent bank. Like, he doesn't need to take this fight, but I guess he is one upgrade ahead. Now, mutas are being built. He is a little supply blocked, and Reynor has caught up in supply. I mean, a lot of that is because he did no tech switch. His upgrades are a little behind, so he can just eke out a few more units than his opponent.
6 Mutalisks are being made here, and with Carapace about to finish in 1 second, there's going to be a 2 upgrade lead here for Serral, who takes a massive engagement in the middle of the map. There is Ravagers on the other side, so he has to pull back here for now. And another Nidus from Reynor is going to get shut down by the Mutas. Oh. Reynor is going for this, but Serral has an answer every single time.
And seeing the mutas, that means that the clock is on him. These Ravagers will be sniped very, very quickly by these mutas, unless these vials land. Okay, that was 1 down, but it's not enough at this point in time. Just 1 Ravager left, and he falls 2. Upgrades are very far behind.
There is Queens in the Nidus. He's going to unload the Queens. They are now across the map to face the mutas. So Serral is forced back. He's going to have to fight on the high ground here at that ramp. Bring back the Mutalisks.
This is by no means over yet. The mutas, they're kind of useless against
the Queens. Oh, he's going
to
counter-attack because the Queens are all across the map.
That's a smart move. That's a really smart move. Reynor running up again into a concave, though, and the Queens, they aren't yet here. So Reynor fighting with less of his supply than he should be. Serral definitely wins this fight and forces Reynor back.
Oh,
and there's no Queens back in the base.
The 300 IQ move here from Serral. And Reynor is just going to have to call GG. Serral with a swift counter-attack with those Mutalisks. He has enough at home on the ground, and he takes the 2-0 leads. What a performance.
Yeah, and I mean, Serral made that look pretty easy, honestly. Like, that was Reynor doing a lot of moves, and he was ahead in supply, but the fact that Serral kind of sniffed out what he was doing, and he got those 3 roaches to his main base, stopped the first Nidus, stopped the second one. He was still behind his supply, but then the roles switched, and then Serral got ahead, and Reynor, he only had 1 gear at that point in time. He was behind his supply, kept on trying, but Serral kept on holding. That could have been a very different situation if any one of those Niduses got up. So Serral, he held so well against that.
Especially the first one. I really feel like the first one is the most important one. So he was very ambitious to go for the main base, but it just felt like Serral knew the whole way. He got ready with the Queens in position, and as soon as that went up, he sent enough units to really shut that down.
Yeah, and
maybe he was a little bit too ambitious to go for the first one inside of the main base. If he had gone for it just right outside the third base, and then as he's attacking there, throw down 1 in the main base, that could have worked. But
you're right.
I mean, it's easy to backseat game from the casting desk, isn't it?
It is. And I mean, like, that even though Niduses are cheap, that's quite a lot of gas that he used on them that did slow down his upgrades, because he needed to use all his gas for the roaches, trying to get the Ravagers out, and then he was delayed in upgrades too. But yeah, you're right, the Nidus move, he kind of went for the kill move, right? As opposed to the, hey, I'm ahead kind of thing in army, I'm going to take advantage of that advantage. And it just didn't pay off. Like, sometimes you play against players, maybe this worked out in like 100% of his practice games, but that's the kind of thing that Serral will just be a tiny bit better than everybody else at dealing with.
Yeah, Reynor here is going to have to somehow find a way to gain some traction here in these semifinals. Otherwise, Serral's going to keep on running the show, and he would move on to the grand finals, where Special is eagerly waiting.
I always love these two when they play. Like, the dance that they do, the units, the way that they control, the aggression of both of them. And they both make such cool and crazy calls. But right now, this is definitely Serral being the defender and kind of taming the beast. And Reynor definitely trying to throw several different strategies and ways to beat down Serral before the game really gets going. And speaking of that man, spawning in the bottom left, as our Blue Zerg, it is again Serral.
And in the red from Italy, he's down 2 games. He needs your support. It is Reynor.
Already it's a good series. You know, this was one that could have really gone either way. And heading on into this game, it is kind of Reynor that needs to maybe adjust things a little bit. Is it worth trying to cut Serral dead before he gets going? Is it worth trying to do something else? Because I feel so far, going for these Roach plays against the Roach of Serral, it hasn't been working out. And he's really, like, he hasn't wanted to play a macro game so far. It's really felt like he's really wanted to cut him dead.
But the problem is that do you really want to take on Serral as well in the Link Bane phase against Link Bane and go for the all-in? It's just Serral in terms of getting units out to drones, he's just the best. Like he always knows when he needs to cut drones, he always knows when he needs to get units. It's just so hard to somehow get it right against him. And that's kind of the secret of ZVZ at the end of the day, right?
That's the real hard thing about Serral. Like, how do you actually go into a game with him? Like, what is the game plan? Do you let him kind of outplay you in a very normal game? Like this guy, he probably practices against people cutting corners against him more than anyone on the planet. So if you are trying to get a cheeky victory against him, he's so good at scouting and he's so good at sniffing that stuff out because everybody tries to cheese Serral because going into a normal macro game with him, a standard game, is so terrifying.
And he doesn't lose a whole lot. I think, what was it that he reached recently? 7,150 MMR, right? Something like that?
7,552.
7,552.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
How many games in a row do you need to
I was one of the people that gave him 2 points, Todd. Like, it was a wounder, man.
How does it feel when that happens?
You know, I bent over and took it. Like, it was terrible, man. But yeah, no, he's just an absolute beast. Like, Reynor, just to put this into perspective, Reynor's also extremely high on the ladder, sitting at about 6.9 to 7K. But that just shows that the difference, right? Like, there is that edge. Like, Reynor can throw the wild pace play at him. He really can, and he has done it before. He beat him in a best of 7. He beat Serral in a best of 7, so he can do it. It's just, right now, Serral's looking different, man. Like, he's looking extremely...
He's on a mission.
He's looking so solid, like cold as ice.
He saw that trophy. He was like, that's a new one? I'll take that.
Yeah, he's inspired again. Like, it really feels the Serral of old is back. But I'm one of those guys that I never feel he went away, honestly. But so far, both these guys, like, talking about the game a little bit, we do have fairly mirrored builds. Like, the drone counts are very similar. Scouting by Reynor gets to see the third base, and I believe Serral also saw the third with his Overlord. These two Lings, a little bit idle here. Maybe they're just looking to scout into the main at some point in time. Ooh, a lot of Lings in production for Serral. Has he sniffed something out?
Yeah, I mean, he's 2-0. If he wants to try like something like a Link Flood and to really surprise Reynor, he might think that there is a chance Reynor tries to cut corners to get ahead too.
There was a pretty famous Link Flood victory on this map between these two, Todd, so maybe we'll see something a bit dicey, but Reynor, he's responding appropriately. He has a lot of Banes in production and also a lot of Lings. Now, he does see the Banes morphing aggressively too. Now, this is where we get a bit of a knife fight situation. Already, that's a nice trade for Serral on it. Oh, and another one. Actually, he just threw two Lings at those Banelings and blew them up. That was pretty bad for Reynor, honestly.
Yeah, Serral committed a lot to this. Still doing okay on the walker counts, though, but Reynor looks like he's going to be able to shut this down for now as both players, they are droning up behind this. Reynor is re-adding a few extra Zerglings.
Look at this little stuff, too. He runs these two Lings into the base, kills the Ling, then runs up to morph into Banelings, hopefully in time. Reynor knows it, though. He's not a bad player at all. In fact, he's fantastic.
He wasn't born yesterday, the Muslim, even though he's pretty young.
Yeah, I mean, it's not far off, eh? But yeah, these Lings are getting an amazing scout. He will see the Evo chamber, but one thing that he definitely didn't see during that circuit of Reynor's base was a Roach Warren. Now, Reynor has a lot of Lings on his side of the map. He does have a slight worker lead here.
Oh my god. That was close.
This is always a dance of death, right?
Yeah.
Or nice micro by Serral taking out a Baneling there again. But Reynor, behind all of this, he has eked out a little bit of a drone lead. Now, he hasn't made as many structures. Oh, Serral actually going for +1 carapace here, too, as his first thing.
And no lair.
But it's Reynor now making a late Roach Warren. So maybe it was Reynor trying to sell him false information, really cutting like everything he could to eke out more drones than his opponent, sacrificing little things, little bits of safety, but then he used his Lings across the map just to drive attention away, because this is it's been very greedy play by Reynor.
Yeah, Reynor's going up to 5 gases pretty quickly, whereas Serral is still on 3. So if he doesn't add any gases soon here, because he went for carapace, which will also benefit his Lings and Banes, there is a chance Serral's just going to make units and go across the map and try and close the show here in the semifinals with a 3-0. Yeah, look at the production tab. 14 Roaches. He's only making units right now. He's about to be supply blocked, so might need to start a couple Overlords here in a second.
Reynor is still droning, though. This is one of the things. I don't think he's sniffed it out yet, and he's already been on a... Oh, 7 drones died. Where did they die? Somehow Banelings or Lings sneaked in here?
Wow, this is
I mean, there's so
Look at
much
this.
chaos.
Three overlords on the way for Serral. He's just going to mass units. He's just going to go for a ton of links behind this to help with the roaches. Now, Reynor sees this move out. He needs to get units. He's going to start some spine crawlers around the third base. He's taking a fourth. He immediately cancels the force. He needs to just make a bunch of units, bring the queens in position. It's all or nothing here. Reynor needs to defend to stay alive in this tournament.
Reynor had no idea this was coming. Serral sold him a different story. The roaches are here, and the lings will be marching across the map too. He also has banelings for the banelings. This is a sick arc of roaches against Reynor as well. No damage being done. He's actually kept his banelings alive behind all this too, and they are a real threat against the banelings of Reynor. The spines, they are finishing, but this is too many roaches for Serral. He is marching in here.
So much of Reynor's army is already dead. The +1 missile finished, but he barely has any roaches, and they're coming out of there in small numbers. Only banelings are going to connect into the natural, into these drones. The supply is plummeting here for Reynor. Look at it. Roach Warren is going to fall, and Serral is going to march towards a certain 3-0 victory here, propelling him into the grand final in just a second.
And Todd, look at this third. There's 4 spine crawlers at this third that are doing nothing. Serral saw that and just stayed away from it. Now he's dealing critical damage in this natural. That drone lead you had, Reynor, think again, it's gone. So many roaches going down, and GG! Serral 3-0 against Reynor.